Welcome back to today's episode of Perspective, the action-packed youth debate show. We have a quarter-final show here today, and we've already had our first 2 rounds, and they did get really heated. And because both teams did put forward some very, very good arguments, and I'm sure that the judges will agree. So now we're heading into the third and final part of today's show, which is in fact the hardest part of the show, as I like to call the judges round. So the judges will be asking questions to the contestants based on the topic that's being debated upon today and based on what the contestants may have said during phase 1 and phase 2. So what I'm going to do is, before I hand over to the judges, can I ask you guys to make sure that both teams receive equal amount of questions to ensure that it is fair. And so off we go. I'm going to come to Mahmood first. Can you please give a question to either team?
So I've got, again, a question for both teams. Do you think some of the concerns that you talked about, so safety, some of the economic reasons as well, could be overcome by having a threshold? So for example, year 12 and 13 students wear non-uniform, so that could overcome some of the safety issues, for example, and then year 11 and below can wear uniform. So what do you think about that?
Okay, so both teams, I think they're discussing right now. Mahmood yet again coming with the tough questions in these quarterfinals. So which team would you guys like to respond first?
Well, but you have to think, would that be fair to the other students? Because is it fair that just because they're older, does that mean that they get to do what they want or wear what they want? Is that really fair to the other students below?
Okay, Mahmood, are you being fair?
That's a good question.
It's a good response. The thinkers, I think Ibrahim's going to respond.
I think that something like that would be more fair, because as you get older, you're more in charge of your own safety. School uniforms mainly, our points about it protects the child's safety when they need, the help from school and stuff. So having a system like that might help, I'd say, and might give the same freedom that they were talking about as well.
Okay, thank you very much, the thinkers, for your response. Mahmood, you please?
Very pleased, yeah.
Okay, now can I ask for maybe David or Swiber to give a question? Swiber, do you have one?
Yeah, I have a question for the Smart Hallows.
Okay.
School uniform is very similar to what you would have to wear in some places where you go to work when you're older. For example, blazer, tie, shirt. Don't you think that it's important that we prepare our young people for their future in work?
Okay, so school uniform provides preparation for the world of work. So surely it's a good thing.
But not wearing uniform can teach children to actually prepare themselves.
Moaz, can you hold the mic close to you?
Because they're not always at school or work. Like, they can be just going somewhere normally. So they can choose their own stuff. They don't need to wear like what they have to do.
Okay. Adib, would you like to add on?
It also, wearing non-school uniform, it helps children to accept other people's choices of clothes. Say you're walking on the streets and you're going to work, you see people wearing some weird clothes, they're wearing jeans, shirts, and you're wearing a blazer. It teaches you to respect other people's choices and what colours. Like, a boy wears a pink t-shirt, we'll go like, you should be wearing black and white. So then it lets the children to find out what people think and what people like. So then they will be able to understand that different people have different feelings. Whereas everybody wears school uniform, they'll think that everybody has the same likes. And when they go older and they see people wear different clothes, they'll be like, well, this person's not actually wearing the right clothes. I don't think this is quite fair.
Okay, thank you very much, Adib. David, can I come to you now, ask if you have a question?
Well, in fairness, I'll ask the other team.
Okay.
I'll ask them a question on wearing. Isn't there a danger with wearing school uniforms that you have a situation like that happened in the summer, a rather nonsensical situation where the boys, because they were forbidden from wearing shorts and it was very hot, the school uniform dictated that they couldn't wear shorts, but because the girls could wear skirts, and that was part of the school uniform, the boys decided that they would wear skirts or kilts or whatever you want to call it. So doesn't wearing school uniform lend itself towards having very restrictive responses to certain situations?
That's true, but it also helps people to be disciplined So if someone can do whatever they want, the school needs to restrict that in order to make them like more firm, so they won't like disrespect any, so they can't do whatever they want. So that's the same with school uniform as well.
So it provides a chance for the students to learn some discipline, otherwise it may lead to chaos.
Or changing the rules.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to come back to judges again. Can I get another question, please, for either team? I'm going to come to David.
I'd like to ask a question now of the smart hellos, in that, do they accept the fact that when you wear a uniform, that you're part of a group, you have a sense of identity, a sense of pride because you're part of that group, you have something in common? Doesn't wearing a uniform of any sort, but in this case we're talking about a school, doesn't that give you pride?
If the school has a bad reputation, as if there are students who have been doing bad things, they might feel ashamed to wear the school uniform, as people will be able to know that they are from this school, because people might make a decision that just because this student goes to this school, he has a bad reputation, he probably has done bad stuff before in his life, and the school is teaching him wrong things. So it's not always about giving a pride. Some students feel ashamed to wear their own school uniform.
Okay. David, yeah, you okay with that?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible.
Okay, can I get a few more questions, please, Swibe?
I have one for the thinkers. Your response to having no school uniform was that, that in the end would work out more expensive because you're having to buy different clothes for, every day or every other day. I would argue that there's ways around that, and I think you guys made the point of parents being able to choose and buy clothes that fit within their own budget. So isn't it important to give parents that option and that choice to actually make those decisions for themselves and figure a way around it? Because eventually where you have to buy a uniform, you're having to buy the normal basic uniform on top of maybe some for summer and then your PE kit. It's a lot.
So surely having no school uniform provides more freedom for the parents rather than forcing something upon them.
But children press their parents to wear designer clothes because they want to look impressive, and they want to be in the big groups and that, and so they won't get bullied or they won't feel sad, and they'll feel part of a group. And so that's why, in fact, non-school uniform is actually more than school uniform, because people want to look impressive.
Okay, so if you take away school uniform, parents might start feeling pressure from their own children rather than from the school, which could harm the parents themselves. Mahmoud, do you have a question?
I do. And again, it's a question for both teams. Let's say your school is thinking about changing its policy. How can you think of a way where they can decide on this? So how can they decide whether to change the policy or not? Taking parents' opinion, for example, or how would they make that decision whether to change from non-uniform to uniform or from uniform to non-uniform?
They could let the children decide, because they're the people who are actually wearing the school uniform, and they can decide, because other people aren't. It's only them.
Okay, so a vote given to the students, perhaps. Ibrahim?
I think we should keep our own system because it incorporates what's best about having a school uniform and some of their ideas as well, because you also have non-school uniform days where students, if they want to, through their clothing, can express themselves, but on certain days, so that keeps the discipline, as my colleague Mahdi was saying, and it also shows that that they can be creative and stuff.
Okay, I think we'll call an end to the judges' questions round here, and now we're finally moving on to the decision. So what's going to happen now is, before the judges decide which team won, I'm going to ask you guys to quickly discuss and choose who you thought was the best speaker of today's show. So the best speaker award is an award which goes to one of the 6 contestants, regardless of whether or not they're on the winning team. It's just based on how well they spoke and how well they put their points forward to the opposition team. While the judges are discussing that, I'm going to quickly explain to you the new system which is used for the announcing the winning team, and we're using it in the quarterfinals. And just a quick recap of how it works is each judge is given a piece of paper on which they can write individually which team they thought were better. They fold it up, they're going to put it in this perspective box which we have on the judges table, so it's completely anonymous from the other judges. Once they put it in, they're going to hand the box over to me and I'm going to announce the results for which team won. But before then, I'm going to quickly come back to the judges and see which person they thought was the best speaker for today's program. So judges, have you guys come to a decision?
We do have a best speaker.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Swiber to announce the best speaker, and can I just tell you guys, once she does, can we please get a round of applause for whoever it is?
So everyone's come up with some really good arguments that have been interesting to hear. For best speaker, we've chose Ikra.
Okay, so congratulations, Ikra. I think that may be second best speakers award for you. So very well done to you. I felt everyone did very well, but congratulations to Ikra for impressing the judges the most. Now, judges, can I ask you guys to take your piece of paper and please very kindly write down the team which you thought won today's debate. Can you write it? Please fold it up, put it in the box, and then can I ask David to pass the box to me, and I'm going to announce which team won today. Before they do that, or before I announce it, can I just tell both teams you guys did very, very well today. I was very impressed, and I think it was a very competitive debate today, and clearly you can see that it had the quarter-final quality to it, and I'm sure that you viewers were very impressed by the quality of the debating, the speaking, and the arguments that we were seeing from our contestants in the studio here today. So I think the judges have voted. So now David's going to help me with the box. Okay, so as you can see, we have our perspective box here. I don't want to hurt David's arms too much. I don't want him to hold it for too long. So I'm going to take the first vote. Okay, so the first vote goes to the Smart Hallows. Okay, so the Smart Hallows, you guys have 1 vote. Now I'm going to pick another one of these pieces of paper. The second vote goes to the Thinkers. Okay, so we have another 1-to-1 tie here, and we have to yet again come to the third judge for deciding which team won today's debate. And the winning team of today's quarterfinal perspective debate is the Smart Hallows. Congratulations to the Smart Hallows. You guys have won today's debate. So well done to you. I felt all 6 of you did very, very well. Both teams, you guys had some very, very strong points, very good points. And I'm sure that the judges were very impressed with the performance that you put together today. And I'm sure they'll agree that there was a certain quarter-final quality to it, which was different from the preliminary rounds that we've seen previously. So congratulations to the Smart Hallows, commiserations to the Thinkers. The Thinkers, you guys are gonna have to go home and think about what went wrong. About the Smart Hallows, you guys have booked your place in the semi-final, so well done to you. So that brings us to the end of today's show. It's been a very, very entertaining one. We've seen some good points coming based on the topic of school uniform. I'm sure you guys, the viewers, have enjoyed it. But until our next quarter-final episode, it's a goodbye from me.